And welcome to your tax day episode of What's Up With This Weather. Jacqueline, you just reminded me that is indeed tax day today.
Happy tax day, weather viewers.
Happy tax day. Hopefully everyone's stuff is in order, or you filed for your extension or whatever you need to do. It is the 15th of April, and we've already had a lot of severe weather. We've had a lot of severe weather risk days so far this spring and even the winter. Tornado count is just shy of 30 right now. There was one actually in the Tulsa metro that was just confirmed, so we're very close to 30, and that's above average for this far in the year.
I was going to ask, do we know what a record is?
The record was set in 2024. Oh my goodness, I know it's above 100.
Oh wow,
it is high.
That's incredible.
And that was only 2 years ago, so I wish I knew the exact number. I should know that. But it is.
We may look on the break.
We may take a look at that.
Yeah.
So we did have some. We had a substantial severe weather risk yesterday. The tornado watch was out. It was an area of enhanced risk. Basically, the cap won, which is really good.
That's good news.
That is great news. We had some hail out in western parts of the state, but no tornadoes except near the Tulsa area, which of course we're thinking of those people. That's just minutes ago confirmed as an EF1 plus. The survey teams are still out there. But for central and western Oklahoma, we won yesterday. We had some wind gusts over 80 miles per hour here or there, but with the level of risk that was there, I'd say that we won.
Yes, for sure.
For most of Oklahoma. So I want to show you those storm reports here on Max 3. So southwestern Oklahoma, this is where we had the wind and the high wind and the hail reports. I'm just going to kind of mouse over on some of these and see what they say here. So this is southwest Oklahoma. There's a 58 mile per hour gust near Tipton. Hobart, you could see lots of wind gusts from 58 to 70 miles per hour. So a lot happened there as far as high winds. There was also some hail near Clinton and near the Altus area. So Elk City, walnut-sized hail, golf ball-sized hail, and then near Blair, wind gust of 62. But look at Elk City. That was the top wind gust of the day, 84 miles per hour yesterday. That is, that's low-end tornado-type wind speeds outside. Now, we do have a slight risk of severe weather for today. This is one of our storm trackers out here. So this is live video. If you're watching later, this was the early afternoon of April 15th. You can see the clouds are pretty thick. They're going to have to break apart a little bit to get things forming, but there's a lot of energy, so it might form pretty quickly. Morning low temperature in Oklahoma City was 64, also 64 in Stillwater, 67 in Enid. Boy, is that mild. So we had a really mild start to the day earlier today, and our temperatures are pretty similar to the same time yesterday, except it's cooler in northwest Oklahoma. So 76 now in Oklahoma City. Look at the dew point and the humidity. Those are high. You can feel all that water content in the air as you go outside. No doubt, if you step outside, you know it. And actual temperatures are a mix of upper 70s to some 80s. It's a little bit warmer. There's a dry line out there. I'll show that to you in a second. But winds, they're there, but relatively under control. So there's the dry line. So you can see north central, very far north central, northwest, and western Oklahoma, it is dry air. So dew points in the 30s, even the 20s, where it's in the 60s from about Garfield County to Kingfisher County to southern Blaine County, and then down to Jackson-Tillman County in southwestern Oklahoma. So along and ahead of this boundary is where we expect severe storms to form. So you can see the risk area is pretty close to that dry line. So hail, high winds, and tornadoes are possible. That's through this evening, so it starts not long from now through this evening, and then storms will push off to the south and east. We're also watching Friday, and already there's an enhanced risk. It covers basically Oklahoma City Metro up into north central Oklahoma with a slight risk for the rest of the state. So it is going to be pretty busy on Friday, too. That looks to be a little bit more potent as far as severe weather potential. Let's kind of switch gears for a second before we get into more severe weather talk here. This, of course, happened between our last episode and right now. Mm-hmm. What are we going to talk about? It's Artemis. Something that's way up in the sky.
Artemis 2.
Artemis 2.
Or the moon.
And now the capsule is back on Earth. Mm-hmm. So the reentry was amazing. They did a fantastic job. One of the coolest things about this whole thing are the pictures that are coming in. And look at that. That's moonrise right there. Or Earthrise, rather. Earthrise. From the moon.
It's incredible.
It's absolutely stunning. So these are pictures that they took. They're incredibly high quality coming in from us. And I believe I have a couple more that we can just go through. Look at that. Some of the astronauts were... I'm sorry?
The detail in the imagery It just blows my mind. Are you able to relate to our viewers just how magnified and detailed this is? Because I just don't think people understand the technology they're able to use.
Well, and that was the video that they shot up there was I think it was 4K to 8K video, so
Wow.
the image is incredibly detailed. All those craters, the astronauts are talking about how much of a rugged, kind of chewed up place it is. And here's the deal. That would be Earth if we didn't have our lovely atmosphere, because Earth is constantly being hit by little meteors and asteroids and all those things, but they burn up. The majority of them burn up in the sky. That's what a shooting star is, really. And the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. So when those things hit it, they don't burn up. They smash into the surface. And this right here was an eclipse that was only visible to the astronauts. So the sun is behind the moon right there. Their spacecraft, Artemis 2, is on the left. The little solar panels are there. So they had to go on battery power for a while. They knew this would happen. They had to go on battery power because the solar panels can't make any juice when you're behind the eclipse.
So cool.
Man, that is just so stunning to me. And we can leave that up for a second.
Okay.
One of the things that I learned about this mission is, day one, they just orbited the Earth for a little while. They're checking the systems, making sure they're okay. And then after about 24 hours, they did a pretty long burn. I think it was 6 minutes, that sent them away from the Earth on the way to the moon, which then they would automatically on this trajectory slingshot around it and then come back. They made little teeny tiny corrections along the way. They even skipped some because it was so perfectly online. After they finished that burn on day one, they immediately calculated the exact splashdown time to the minute. That would be several days later. When, lo and behold, when it splashed into the ocean, it was exactly on time. That blows my mind.
That's what I mean.
Man,
that was a massive. I think it's just a massive win for being smart. I just love that they got it perfectly right.
So way to go to all those astronauts, way to go to NASA, to everyone that put every screw and bolt and wire in that thing.
And fun fact, very cool fact, an Oklahoma sailor was actually the first person to greet the soldiers, the astronauts, when they opened the capsule hatch.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oklahoma sailor. I love the Oklahoma connection. I just think it's super cool.
That is super cool. I didn't know that. So I learned something too. Thank you. All right, so that's out of this world stuff. We're going to talk about more close to the Earth, and of course, with the severe weather season that we're in, we're going to show you part of our weather special here coming up. It's going to, I won't spoil it for you, but it's coming up, and then we'll get into a little bit more of what's going to potentially happen today, later on, and of course, Friday, as a lot of volatile weather is on the way. We're going to take a quick break. What's up with this weather continues after this. And welcome back to What's Up with This Weather. During the break, as Jacqueline said, we would go and kind of check that tornado record. It was 2024. That was the year.
Okay.
152 tornadoes in the state of Oklahoma. My goodness.
I have a serious question for you.
Yes.
And I'm nervous to ask it because I'm nervous about what you're going to say. But what are the odds? Do you think of us getting there? I don't want to break a record. I'm not looking for the record to break.
So I'll tell you this. The average, I'm doing some quick math here while I'm looking. The average tornadoes, basically to date, for this point of the year, is about 11. Okay. So typically, there's no normal, but you average it out, it would be 11 to April 15th, and we've already had about 30.
Well,
so we're not doing too well so far.
Not doing too good.
Yeah, not doing so well.
We're looking a little successful in reaching that record.
Yeah, let's hope we don't. No, and right beyond that too, 2019. I'm looking at the stat sheet here. 2019, there was 149. So that was 3 behind the record in 2019. Not COVID was bad enough. We had a ton of tornadoes. It was a rough year.
Rough year.
And so, yeah, we're hoping that and the record low, that was 2014, oddly enough, right after the really busy 2013, we had 16 tornadoes.
Oh, man.
So I would take a year like that for sure. Nice. So we every year put together our weather special that airs, and all the meteorologists do it. We all have a certain segment that we do. Last week you saw we did drones, so I went and did some drone research that's happening and covered that. It's really cool stuff. And I'm going to show you some clips. We're still working on this year's, just as a heads up. It airs May 1st on KFOR TV at 6:30. So May 1st, 6:30. And then it'll be online a little bit later on. So this is a segment from last year. And of course, we're kind of going through these week by week as we are in the heart of severe weather season. So we thought we'd sit here and watch this one together and talk about it.
In this experiment, we're focusing just on tornado formation, and we're focusing all of our resources on any given day just on that particular scientific question.
Dr. Eric Rasmussen was field coordinator on the project and recalls the immense collaboration effort of the National Weather Service, universities, staffers, and equipment to encircle storms and gather important data.
In the 1980s, there were a number of sort of small projects with individual instruments and people trying to learn a thing or two about supercells. But then when the 1990s rolled around, we figured out that it would make a lot more sense to get all of these instruments out on one storm, right? So in 1994, we had an armada of vehicles, I think about a dozen cars with instruments on the roofs. We also had the NOAA P-3 aircraft with its Doppler radar on the tails. It would fly next to the storms and scan the storms as it went by. Then in 1995, we added the first Doppler on wheels.
So what was the outcome of Project Vortex?
One of the biggest things we've learned is it's not nearly as straightforward as we thought it would be. We've learned that the clues are near the ground, and the clues likely are in that rain and hail area that's right north of the tornado. It's a very difficult place to operate.
And possibly the most important outcome from the research, vastly improved warning time for tornadoes.
We have especially gained a better idea of when you see that rotation aloft, which is pretty common, what other things can you look for that really say, okay, we're about to have a tornado, or okay, we've got a tornado going on. So yeah, I think warnings have improved through our research quite a bit.
Research studies continue, all based on the advancements made during the 1994 and 1995 data collected by Project Vortex.
The successors to Vortex are still operating. Here at NSSL, we go to the field almost every year, a number of times, with the same sorts of equipment and trying to look at very specific problems related to tornado formation.
And now, 30 years later, Rasmussen continues to reflect on the work then and now and views the research as a necessity with the goal to one day be able to predict times and locations specifically.
I think we were naive enough in the 1990s to believe that we would go out for 2 years and we'd get the answers, and now we'd have the problem of tornado formation solved. It wasn't that easy.
For the Forewarned Storm Team in Norman at the National Weather Center, I'm meteorologist John Slater.
What a great look back in what really is considered groundbreaking research that continues today. You know, after a storm, our Oklahoma standard of giving our neighbors a hand up is always on display. One organization in Oklahoma City that responds during a disaster trains volunteers to assist their neighbors in those times of need. Here's the Forewarned Storm Team's Tim Boyd.
What are the needs of the community?
They start by learning here.
First and foremost, we want to serve the community
so that one day they might end up in the field.
We assess the damage, we see who is responding, and we're able to provide meals to both those that are survivors and also the first responders that are there as well.
Volunteer training for the Salvation Army's Emergency Disaster Services program brought together about a dozen people. They're learning step by step how to act when tragedy strikes.
Once a disaster hits, we're on the front lines.
Carl Corbett is a fifth-generation first responder in the Salvation Army. He responded to Hurricane Katrina when he was 12.
There were things such as setting up cots and providing meals. Family members driving people of that disaster from the airport.
The situation determines what services are needed most. Often it is food and water, but other times it's spiritual help, a shoulder to cry on.
These individuals just truly don't stop until the work is done.
In the past, they've sent volunteers to Hurricanes Helene and Milton, as well as countless severe weather-ravaged sites in Oklahoma. Corbett says his skills grow as he helps.
I've gotten better at it. And I will continue to learn how to navigate those waters.
how long the event happened.
For the Forewarned Storm Team, I'm Tim Boyd.
Man, that big hail guard. Well, actually, when you're out there, you're happy you have the hail guard.
Oh, I'm sure.
above you.
Big takeaway was just how much the vehicles have changed in the last 40 years.
Oh, yeah. Did you see those Ford Tauruses with the stuff on the roof?
Yes.
I almost said something. And then the big minivan. Maybe it had that fake wood paneling on the side. Remember those?
Yes, I do.
I think it'd be hard to storm chase in an Astro van.
I would think it'd be very challenging, but it was so aerodynamic.
Yeah. We actually, in college, it was optional. They didn't make you do it. But there was a class, you got credit for it, called a convective field study, basically doing what they were doing.
Oh, cool.
And it was 11 days. We'd go hotel to hotel to hotel. And basically what you'd do in the morning is you'd forecast where you should end up the next evening.
Okay.
So you'd forecast, book your hotel for the upcoming evening, and then you just chase all day. Sometimes we'd have a bus, be done at 5 p.m. Sometimes we'd roll in at 1 a.m. And we rented minivans, and they are the most comfortable thing. You say what you want about a minivan. When you're in a car for 16 hours, it is comfy.
Okay, my biggest concern in question by the minivan situation, you said rental. Did you get the rental insurance?
I won't say the company.
Did you say, yes, I'm going to take this storm chasing. I'm trying to get it in a storm.
I won't say the company that rented to us. It's a very well-known one. And they knew what we were doing.
Did they really?
And they still rented. My entire time there, and several years past, it was still going. They still rented. And I'll tell you, we brought these back with windshield problems, busted windshields.
Are you kidding?
Hail damage. And
You're serious?
we did get the rental protection. The university did. And I don't know how they still rented to us.
And they just continue to students who basically are children, right?
Well, at least the professors were there to keep us in line.
Driving? Was there an adult?
No, it was us.
Oh, wow.
It was us. The professors would be in the passenger seat so they can look at stuff.
I think you even have to be 25 to rent.
You could be under 25 and pay an extra fee.
I got you.
Yep, because that is a thing.
Okay.
So that was one of the greatest. I did that 3 times. So I did 3 11-day tours, and I learned so much out there. But anyway, that's what the PhDs are doing in that video.
Yeah.
From 1995, Project Vortex, there was Project Vortex 2 that came after, and trying to really learn and understand why, most storms don't produce tornadoes. A lot of rotating storms still don't produce tornadoes. What is this thing that happens that makes a tornado come out of this storm, but not that one? And yes, we know a lot, but it's kind of one of those things, the more you learn, the more you know you don't know.
Yes.
So that's what they're trying to do. And of course, you saw those Doppler on wheels vehicles. There might be some out there today for research too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really, they radar sits in one spot. When you put it on the back of a truck, you can drive it wherever you want and get it really close to a storm that either doesn't tornado or does, and you can compare the data. So why'd this one tornado when that one seemed stronger, had different features or different things? And that's what we're trying to learn by all this.
So cool.
So that was meteorologist John Slater there with his piece of the weather special from 2025. Of course, still putting the finishing touches on ours this year. It's going to be great. It airs again May 1st on KFOR.
At 6:30 p.m.
At 6:30 p.m. Yes, thank you for that. 6:30 p.m. and then on KAUT as well. I believe it's going to be the Saturday after. So that would be a Friday on KFOR, then the Saturday after it'll air on KAUT. So multiple ways to watch it right there for you. We got to talk about a couple things here. Of course, this week in Oklahoma weather history after the break, and we have some video of what happened that week. As you might suspect, this time of the year, it is severe weather related, and we're going to take a look at what we have on the way for today. Severe weather wise. It's hard to say.
And it may arrive.
Yeah, there we go. And that's April 15th version of What's Up With This Weather. Stick with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to What's Up With This Weather, Tax Day edition.
Woo! For all those that celebrate.
Yeah, get wild, everybody. It's tax day.
Yeah.
Let's get it going. We do have a slight risk of severe weather today and a enhanced risk, so level 3 out of 4, as we look toward our Friday. So the good news is we get a little break tomorrow, and we need it and deserve it. That's for sure.
Yes.
That's for sure. Not just us, everybody.
Everyone.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our This Week in Weather History. And this was April 22nd, 2020. So not really that long ago. Let's listen in here real quick.
And I just want to say, this is a noise no one likes to hear.
Mm-hmm. No one wants to hear that.
You can hear the rain coming down.
Mm-hmm. And you can see that funnel right there really lifting up into the sky. And man, I when we were discussing off camera how you were pulling this video and editing it, and you said let's leave in the sound, and I'm like, yeah, this is what it was like and felt like and sounded like. So pretty scary right there. This is April 22nd, 2020. 2 people died from a storm that tracked a little over 4 miles along State Highway 99C, crossing US 377. This was a part of a larger tornado outbreak, basically spanning from April 21st to April 23rd, 2020. So 6 years ago. Over several states, there were 50 tornadoes, and then the deadly EF2 tornado that hit Medill, Oklahoma. And there's at least part of it right there. Obviously not horribly strong at that point, but again, these things, they ebb and flow and they come up and they come down. So, that we never want to hear of any fatalities. It's so sad that 2 people died in that situation right there. The Twister EF2 winds were up to 135 miles per hour. I believe we have some an image here, or a graphic that shows some of the tornadoes on that day and the cities that they were. So I know this is kind of a little rough looking, but I pulled it from the National Weather Service. So there was a tornado in Pauls Valley, Springer. That one, there was an EF2 magnitude, so Springer was pretty bad. There's a couple Medill ones. So it says Medill EFU, which is unknown, but then Oakland, that's the same tornado from Medill.
Okay.
So that's an EF2 right there. And the time, that's 3:53 in the afternoon. Kept going into Marshall and Johnston counties, and then Bryan County and Cole, so southern and southeastern parts of the state, continue to produce, as you see on the right-hand side right there, anywhere between EF0 and EF1 tornado damage. So, let's see, how many are there? About almost a dozen tornadoes just in Oklahoma on that day. And as I said, between the 21st and the 23rd, there were over 50 tornadoes that were several states in the South and Midwest. So it was a really busy and active pattern, unfortunately, in 2020 in the middle of April. So that's this week in weather history for you. And today, we just have a couple minutes here, but we'll talk about the risk that we have for the rest of the day today. This is current radar. If you're watching us live right now, 1:54 in the afternoon. Storms have not formed yet, but they're likely to form any time now. I was just looking during the break at some data. National Weather Service put a special weather balloon up in the air, and it shows the cap is eroding or going away. But I'm showing you satellite here. You'd see a bright white lumpy cloud if the storms are already kind of going up in the air. So we'll look here at future radar, and as this loads here, you'll see storms should be fairly widespread by about 4 o'clock, so not far from now. They're mostly going to be south of Oklahoma City, but some of them might be in the metro, especially the South Metro. And then here's the good news. By sunset, almost all this activity should exit into southeastern Oklahoma, and then most of it, the high-end stuff, out of the state by about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. We take a much-needed break for tomorrow. So this is the morning, few clouds around. Here's the afternoon. No severe weather to worry about for tomorrow, but then we have to kind of get ready because Friday is going to be a severe weather day. So storms will form ahead of a cold front in the afternoon hours, northwestern, north central Oklahoma. These will be supercells. Then the cold front catches up. So Friday evening, storms come down and form a line, and then these will have high winds of 70 miles per hour, some hail, and even an embedded tornado threat. And this is going to be late into the evening and overnight hours. So you can see about midnight here, and then finally calming down about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning on our Saturday as this continues passing through, and then finally things calm down. So that's certainly good. As far as rainfall here, or this is future track, the weekend looks great. Okay. Monday looks great. Could be a little activity on Tuesday, and then things kind of ramp up again Thursday and Friday again toward the tail end of the upcoming work week. So going to be very active again. We'll go ahead and take a look. Here's the forecast for the rest of this afternoon. It's already humid out there. Dew points are high. We'll try to get to around 80 for a high temperature. That dry line right there, that's where storms are going to try to fire along and ahead of it. And then for tonight, rain storms, they move off to the east, 57 OKC. And here's tomorrow. It's going to be warm to hot in northwestern Oklahoma, but enjoy it because it's a calm weather day. It is a break from the high-end severe weather risk, which returns again on Friday. So slight risk for a really big chunk of Oklahoma. Enhanced risk now comes down to the Oklahoma City metro up into north central parts of the state. So windy, warm, some severe, especially central and east. Friday, severe hazards all over the board. So that's going to be late afternoon into the overnight hours and early Saturday. The weekend looks good, calm. We can rest and recharge, and then it gets more active again as we head deeper into next week. Whew, that's the forecast, Jacqueline.
You know what? I think tomorrow looks like a perfect day to enjoy the outside.
And to not worry, too.
Not worry.
That's another thing. So, again, be on alert through about 7 or 8 o'clock central Oklahoma, a little bit longer southeastern parts of the state, and all afternoon and evening and overnight on Friday. We, of course, will be here to track this. And for now, I will say goodbye. Thank you for watching What's Up With This Weather. Meteorologist Aaron Brackett.
And Jacqueline Ferris. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 1:30.
See you right here.